What's up, everybody? All right. So I've had some software updates I have to get used to now that I'm no longer restricted by the requirements of Fish Fab Christmas. I can actually use my normal software, which had a big update. So a few things are a little different, mostly probably on my end, but yeah. Chris Biggs, Bentley likes a girl. Oh yeah. So for those that you were here last week, you kind of heard my at the time fiance, but now wife. We got married New Year's Eve, which is also her birthday. So I can't possibly forget that, right? Otherwise, I'll be sleeping in a fish tank permanently. So yeah, did some of that. She's been helping out with the new tank, which just in case you missed that video, maybe I should add like a picture of that. I'd probably have to go like rip it down off of my phone. That'd probably take a while, but we'll put a post somewhere. But we've been working on getting what I'm calling Fallen Forest up and going. It's now planted, so you'll have that video this week. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. It's not going to be, don't expect like a huge planting montage or anything like that like you would get in most aquascaping videos. I didn't go through that just because I'm being a like one man show, right? It's kind of hard to film all of that, and yeah, and then also keep up with everything else. So there's that. Oh, I can see some like of my settings got completely destroyed. Oh jeez. Hold on. Gonna like blow out my poor internet. When I took a big update, it wiped out a bunch of my settings, and it's trying to like go at a level to where it could possibly cause problems with the streams. I'd fix that setting real fast. Oh, OBS. Sometimes when you update, you lose all of your sense. Anyway, huge thanks, Geek Boy. Thank you so much. But yeah, so now a couple of things I want to talk about. Number one, and Kelly Foreman. Thank you, Kelly. Because I saw Dr. Maz in here, I have a little update. So you guys remember a little while ago, the Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fishes was doing a little auction to help an event where they give away Christmas presents to a lot of the local kids. And, you know, it's something, a lot of these kids, it's the only time of year where they get like toys or something like that. So I bought one fish, well, one group of fish. I bought some Iquitos tiger plecos, the L226. They're a wood-eating pleco, so vegetarian, omnivorous, but more vegetarian, but they need wood in their diet. So think similar to like the L397, or so the 306 is the other one. Man, if Tom from TMN Aquatics is in here, he's gonna just like correct me like that, because that guy knows his plex. But these are Panoculus plecos, right? Or not Panoculus. Hold on. Uh-oh. 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 I'm going to find out that I said that right, and I'm going to feel like a dum-dum. Okay, it is a Panoculus. Woo! It's the Panoculus Changai. Or Changay. I'm bad at some of that pronunciation, but I have an update. So, you recall I bought those plecos, and I added an extra donation because I expected to pay more than I did. So I added a little extra because I respect everything Dr. Maz is doing. I sent them directly to my friend Alyssa Bentley, no relation, because she knows plecos way better than me. And I want to make sure that these get bred because they're not super common. She sent me a picture. Eh? Eh? Pleco fans, you know what this means. So we have our boy Plec in the cave right here. And we have a Lady friend saying hello, trying to say, get out of the way, dummy. Let me in there. We might get lucky. So at least the good news is we know we have at least one male female, right? And we're thinking that that Alyssa and I, just based on what she's seen, we might have just one mature male and maybe 3 females, which is fine. We just gotta keep that male well fed. But good chance we might have some babies soon. So that'd be pretty exciting, right? Actually get some babies of this fish. Be pretty ecstatic about that. Glitch Aquatics, my male Pleco doesn't understand those cues. One of my, so my main dominant male Wabenmooster Pleco, he's an idiot. He will, he'll have one of the 2 female Plecos in the tank sitting there trying to get in, and he'll block them and not let them in, and then he'll get out and scare them away, and then be like, wait, why aren't you in the cave? And he's all lit up and colored up and everything. It's like, you dope. It takes him a little while to figure out something that he's done several times, so he should know better. But no. Oh Lord. But yeah. Cranked on. So yeah, hopefully we get some Pleco babies. That would be sweet. I don't know. I have no clue how long it takes to get them mature or anything like that. So yeah, but eventually we'll hopefully get some clutches of L226 babies, and they're a cool fish. Like the very tiger striping that they have on their back end is really, really, really apparent and beautiful. So yeah, Liquid Zoo. Sometimes us men are doofs and can't read the signals. I've been one of those guys several times in my life. I've been a doof. Oh man. So let me see here. What else? I had something else I wanted to talk about, and it went right out my brain. It's my first day back at work, past some vacation right for the holidays, and I went straight into 7.5 hours of meetings. I fries the brain real hard. And when you spend most of your time off working in fish tanks and stuff, that will make. Oh! All right, Dr. Baz is back. Dr. Baz, look! We might get babies. We might get babies already. We're getting the activity we expect. Way faster than I would have expected. So, might actually have sexually mature at this size, which I wasn't sure when they came in. So, Dr. Maz, good picks. High quality. Crab tail. Did you just say get lucky night? Wink, wink. Well, both my lady and I are streaming tonight, so by the time this is all done, we'll probably both be so mentally exhausted. And after this, I have to go film more. I've been dealing with tannins like crazy leeching. Yeah, I know for certain we've got one male. I think we might have one male and 3 females, which I'm okay with because they're in the right hands right now. But we'll see. And again, thank you everybody who's in here saying congratulations. Just the last ones, Luke, Shanna. I really appreciate you guys so much. I would go down the entire list, but then I'm doing that forever, and we want to talk some fishy stuff. We want to babble. We want to do the things and the stuff, right? So with that being said, if you guys do have any fish questions, this will be a lot more informal, and I'll probably pull down a picture of something else soon. You can just add Bentley Pasco. It makes it easy for me to see your questions. If you got a question tonight and any fish-related stuff, next week, just as a heads up, next week, more than likely, assuming that whatever disease it's probably just like a seasonal cold, but one of my nieces was on the tail end of being sick when I had my wedding, which we just did a simple courthouse thing, nothing too crazy, just because timing kind of required that. And I hope I don't get sick from my little niece, because she's a sweetheart. She gave me a big old hug. She was very happy. She didn't really know why, but she was very happy. Just she's a sweet kid. And I just hope I don't get sick. But anyway, I was supposed to go to the Greater Seattle Aquarium Society's meeting next week, so we might not have a stream. If so, probably in advance, I'll put up a poll asking people's questions, and we'll do another like kind of question and answer recorded video session like we've done before. Guppy Girl, congratulations on the babies. Pleco babies. We don't have them yet, but we've got the right signs. Big water change happened. Plecos did what Plecos do after a water change, so fingers crossed and all those good names. Alex Jones, hope you and your lady have a long and prosperous time together. Thank you. Dude, you know, it's one of those things where we've been together for... Finish my thought. Kelly's killing me. Oh, okay. We've been together for 6 years now, and how to put this? Even through some of the like hard times that we've dealt with, whether it's been like this whole house catching COVID or really stressful times at my work where she's been just an absolute champ about helping me get through some of like those. I mean, you guys can remember when I was barely making it to my live streams, or worse, I couldn't make it because I was just working so much. Yeah, she's been such a champ, and I can honestly say that we are very much insanely good friends, and she regularly says, you know, that I'm her best friend, and I would say mostly the same. I think there's like, how to put this, there is a space where like I think you need a friend that is not that person you love romantically as your best friend, but I think it is most important when you are getting into any kind of true long-term relationship that you marry someone who is as much your friend as anything else. We have so many similar hobbies and interests. We laugh at all the same dumb nonsense. You know, we both have like the humor level of a 12-year-old kid. So we laugh at stupid things. But yeah, man, it's been a blast. She didn't completely fall apart during the ceremony. She didn't just like fall into tears and weep to death. She held out strong. But I got to see some family got to be there. We were definitely limited because there's a lot of protocols in the courts about the number of people you can have and all that kind of stuff. There, speak of my wife. There she is in chat. Hi, honey. But yeah, it's been pretty wonderful. Won't lie. Did you guys start Yakitate yet? No. So like we watch stuff in the house kind of collectively. And yeah, you totally can have more than one best friend. Absolutely. It's one of those things like, I think of like some of my male best friends, right? And it's a very different friendship. But she's definitely among my best friends. She understands me in ways that even my male best friends never could possibly do so. Because she lives with me and sees every side of me. Even the stressed out of my mind side, where sometimes I'm just kind of like, But yeah, it's one of those things where good times. And I saw Paul Soltero be prepared to the best of Bentley next week. Maybe, I don't know. I'm also playing catch up at work, so like my brain's a little frazzled because I've got to ramp back up to the normalcy and not like being a little lackadaisical and some time off. Whew. But hey, I like the time off. So anyway, next week, high potential that we won't have a live stream, so we'll do a little community tab poll question and answer thing where you guys can put some questions in. I'll answer them, stuff like that. And yeah, it is a little. We still have to go through and like adjust her name because she wants to take my last name, which is nice. I made a joke about her last name, and it's something that a family member says that she's never liked, and now she has an excuse to no longer have to deal with that. She cited that as the best reason to change her name. Just hilarious little things that like we both laugh at, right? That's not our serious reason, but it's things that we laugh at to make ourselves have a good time. All right, let's see here. Do we have a question in here? I think we had some. Ryan said, same here, love my fiance, time for us to do the courthouse deal ourselves. Yeah, if you, like, we'll do, so, for my wife and I, we'll do a ceremony, I think we're looking at, like, 2024, where we'll do a more formal ceremony, so that we can invite all of our family, because we were only allowed to have, the judge let us bring some extra people, because the judge, like, convinced security and she's a sweetheart, the judge. She's wonderful. We're her last marriage, by the way, as a judge. She's stepping down from the bench to go back into active practice of law because she feels she can do more good there than being a judge. So we were her last couple to get married as a judge. She steps down in a week. That's kind of neat. So she was like she was an absolute gem of a person, made the whole thing fun, like made all the young kids that were there have fun, and made it easy on all of us instead of the nightmare, where every family member wants to get pictures and all that kind of stuff, and made it easy. So we were allowed to have 16 people with us. It's not a lot, but it's kind of a lot at the same time, depending on how you look at it. But we'll do this like formal ceremony. We're gonna invite more people. Just gotta save up for that thing. Woo! But it's more the thing, like, if you want something small and simple, courthouse might be the way to go, man. It's easy. It's not too crazy. Plus, save a ton of money if you're in a pinch. But yeah, thank you guys. George, Leo, thank you guys very much for the congrats. So yeah, it's one of those things where if you can, I recommend just make sure you're both ready. Like, we were totally excited for it. Jonathan Craven, we have a fish question. Have you ever heard of anyone using terrestrial plants, example grass from a backyard, and having success for aquarium use? So, Jonathan, I've heard people have success, but I've never seen true long-term success doing that. And similarly, you'll see things that are like a bag of seeds that's dirt cheap that they'll call like aquarium plants on like eBay and even Amazon and stuff like that. They're not actually aquatic plants, so they'll live for a period of time, but then after a while they end up dying off. I've never seen... No, what I have seen is using things like terrestrial mosses or some other kind of more terrestrial plant that dips a little bit into the water in order to get some semblance of nutrition, but the rest of it sits out of water. So that's one of the things that can work. So if you have like, a big piece of wood or rock that's coming all the way out of the water, and a lot of moss is the most common terrestrial moss, it wicks in to bring its moisture up and supply the moss and keep it alive. But you can do the same thing with a number of plants. It's similar to like if you put pothos in your filter, or somehow you got the roots in your aquarium and the pothos is growing out. You can do something very similar with some of the terrestrial plants. There's a number of house plants that will live like that just fine, but fully submerged, almost all of them don't do that well. And yeah, Luke is mentioning here is like lots of terrestrial plants will do great with roots submerged, not only pothos, but most of those will enjoy being fully submerged. If you got a lot, doesn't hurt to try. Not long grass though. Yeah. And I mean, some of them can get fully submerged, but it really depends. Like some of them just don't convert their leaves and long term they just won't have success. And usually the bigger problem is more that a lot of those plants are used to having much higher levels of CO2. And once they get in the water, they don't have that level of CO2 anymore, and that's what really makes them struggle. They're used to that atmospheric CO2 levels where you're talking like 400 parts per million. And yeah. But a lot of terrestrial mosses can do well, even fully submerged. Moss is kind of like the one that can break the rules in many cases, but not all cases. I hope that kind of helps answer your question there, Jonathan. Lots of people talking about pothos. Yeah, so it's like Dr. Maz is saying, Amazon Research Center. I've seen Mondo grass in aquariums, but yes, only lasted a few months. And usually it's just one of those things where eventually the plant just can't handle it. And it tends to be kind of at the root system, kind of like Paul Sotero mentioned. But yeah. Greg Jones, what's up, buddy? I want to show them a pic. Which pic? You might have to message me and say what you mean. Joint file those taxes, yo. Yeah. We will be joint filing taxes. It'll be nice. I actually went through the process today of getting her on like my insurance at work and things like that. That took a lot of paperwork, but got the process rolling so that she can get nice insurance through me. And I'll pay for her insurance. Oh, man. Kelly Foreman, Bacopa, and Lysimachia. Lysimachia? Man, I feel like I'm pronouncing that way wrong. Anyway, have both converted for me. You can buy them at your garden center. Same with Lobelia cardinalis. Well, yeah, but Lobelia cardinalis, Bacopas, those are all fairly common, like, marsh plants. That's where they come from. So even though you'll find them in terrestrial, they live fully submerged. He's thinking more like grasses. And grasses is where that doesn't happen. Bring it on, Kelly. I might be absolutely garbage at terrestrial plants, but I'm dang good at aquatic plants. I know what I can keep alive, and that's all the stuff that stays in the water. Except for frickin' Ludwigia tornado. Oh, that stuff hates me. Oh, it hates me. Way better as garden plants. I will say this. A lot of the stems that can live in your aquarium that also can live terrestrially, you can get them to flower far easier when they're not in your aquarium. And the flowers are beautiful. Like Bacopa flowers, little purple flowers come off Bacopa. They're beautiful. Liquid Zoo, I've never seen that Bentley face before. Oh, sir. Jim Carrey, I am not, but I'm quite animated. You should, you think that's bad. You should see my face when I play D&D every once in a while. I am a legitimate nutcase. Oh, man. We got all these questions about garden things terrestrially. I don't care about none of that nonsense. If it isn't been well established, I will kill it. That's how it is. If you were to look at the garden at my house, you can see the plants that I've tried to plant because they're dead and most likely have converted to some kind of weed. I've kept California poppy in my front garden because it's one of the few things that is so invasive and so hard to kill that I can't kill it. Unlike all the other types of flowers I've tried to do. But all the, my rhododendrons and all the stuff that's been there for a while, they're doing just fine because they are well established to the point of where I won't kill them anymore. Terrestrial gardener I was never meant to be, but man, somehow I figured out that aquatic plant thing. Somehow. Sandy Cheeks, good to see you, Sandy. How can I get green water and keep it alive? All right. So, the easiest way to do green water, number one, if you haven't seen it, Dan's Fish just actually put out a video about green water, and it's really good. He can walk you through the process. It's like 3-4 minutes. It's not very long. But basically, get yourself a small tank, something like 10, 20 gallons. Put a light on it. Turn the light on. Never turn the light off. One of the things you need to get algae up in the water column is an excessive amount of light. 2, you will need some kind of water movement. Just an air stone is really all you need, and you'll be okay. 3, you'll need something to feed it. So a little bit of like fertilizer, like you would use for your plants, is okay. You just need something in there to help feed the algae. And you could probably do this with just like some ammonia if you have like little ammonium chloride powder. But fertilizer is probably better because it's a little more complex, a lot of stuff. But it's basically just light, nutrition, go. It likes having lots and lots and lots of light, so just turn the light on and leave it on. And you'll have green water in no time. Very easy. Kelly Foreman, I have just bought a hydroponic wall to connect to my tank. See, I've seen this done several times, and I love that style where you have this like great wall of extra plants to get a little like misty waterfall thing going on, and it's beautiful. I'm pretty confident I can't pull it off because I'll screw something up. But I love the way it looks. Similar to like if you guys remember when Jimmy did a video with Candy, who's like the basically customer service queen over at Aquarium Co-op. She had that cool like living wall that they built. I would love to do something similar, but feed it off of like fish tank water, you know? I would love to do that kind of stuff, like, or like Danny, who is commonly on Bob's channel for Steamfod Aquatics, right, where she's got like all the pothos and stuff going all over the place, terrestrial plants mixed in. I would love to do that right, but I know that my skill at being bad at terrestrial plants might overpower those things. I think you can do it. You don't need to remember to water them. Also, Tara, I'll give you a horticulture education. My mom tried to do that because my mom is pretty decent at plants when it comes to like a garden and stuff, especially roses. That's really my mom's thing, is roses. Yeah, I didn't rub off too well. I used to go to, I'll tell you this story. I see a couple questions. Don't worry, I'll get to you very soon. Promise. I used to go really regularly out to this place called Mulbacks in Bellevue, and now it's like a big housing development with businesses on the front level or whatever, but huge nursery in Bellevue, right basically by Microsoft, actually, of all places. And I used to go there regularly with my mom all the time, and I loved like walking through, and especially fruit trees are something I really like a lot. So like cherry and apple and all the kinds of things. I like fruit trees. And so regularly I would try to get like some kind of fruit tree at the house. And eventually we got a couple. And at one point I had a Bing cherry tree at my house I grew up with, up until it finally was sold, that was like 25 feet tall and enormous. And it would produce tons and tons of cherries. But the problem was all the birds and squirrels and stuff knew about it after about year 3 of it being mature enough to give us a decent amount of fruit. And none of the fruit would ever get fully ripe before it had been picked completely clean by all the birds and squirrels. But I loved it anyway. I love cherry trees. So, needless to say, she would try. We'd try all sorts of flowers. She would let me like pick stuff, kind of similar to how we did with the fish tank, where I get to pick fish. Did something similar too, where she'd like go through like, hey, pick a rose or pick one of these or something, when she was getting a bunch of stuff. And would try to teach me, and I was just never very good at the whole gardening thing. I could dig holes. It was good for manual labor as a child, but that's about it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. The wife has sent an image. Oh. Maybe we'll put that on the community tab. I'm gonna crop that a little so it's not as, you don't see all the empty room on the. We'll cut it in a little. I'll work on it. Don't worry. We'll show it a little bit. I'll put it on the community tab. Me and my wife getting married with the judge. I just want to chop off all the extra space. It's just courtroom. Who cares? All right, let me see here. So did Sandy Cheeks question? Hopefully that helps Sandy. And if not, Dan's Fish has a great video that teaches you really fast how to do green water. Wendy is sidetracked. I am sidetracked. I had Alisma triviale, native Washington water plantain. Interesting. I didn't know we had a water plantain. In my tubs all summer. It's really pretty. My aquariums are submerged. It died, but could have been the high temperature. Interesting. Yeah, because I mean the water temperatures in Washington never get like super high in the grand scheme of things. Even in summer, it's not getting that high. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I have to look that up now. Hold on. I just want to see what this plant looks like. Are gudgeons and goby shrimp safe? Gudgeons, no. Gudgeons are shrimp murderers. Depends on the goby. It comes down to the size of the goby's mouth, basically. And most likely what's going to happen is a mature goby will... Ooh, that's a pretty plant. It looks kind of like a sword. Fascinating. It looks very similar to a sword. Sorry, I had to look at the water plantain that's native up here. Anyway, the gobies will most likely predate on the shrimplets, so the baby shrimp. And you might have trouble keeping the colony at size if you have enough gobies and or they're hungry enough. However, most of your small gobies should leave the adults alone. So in theory, you can make enough babies, and if you have enough safe places, you'll be okay. But gudgeons will just murder your colony. So secret history, living in your aquarium, my buddy Alex, he's had gudgeons that have literally jumped to other tanks to decimate shrimp colonies. That's how aggressive they are to eat shrimp. They'll just jump and go find more. Hiya. Yeah, gudgeons are actually like kind of a not as advertised as a killifish, but they're a pretty good predator. So don't do gudgeons. Maybe some of the really tiny gobies. The really thin guys, you might be okay. Look it up. Make sure I don't miss some other questions. Okay, good. Christian, thank you very, very much. Really appreciate it. And Anetta. You don't see Anetta that often. I like it. I like uncommon names. I'm a weirdo. Probably because I have a weird name. But yeah. But in theory, like most of your small gudgeons will be okay. Yeah. So, reminder, just because we still got a little bit to go, but if you do have questions, because we're kind of open questions this time, just kind of chilling, making it easy, at Billy Pasco makes it super easy for me to see your questions. If you have questions about just about anything, we can do that. And one thing that I want to do real fast, actually, is... see if I can pull this off of... Get that. And we'll do this one. Some weird glare. Just realizing some weird glare in my when I take photos during the day of certain stuff in my fish room. Bonk. Oh. I want to show you guys a photo, but I gotta shrink it down because it's enormous apparently. Let me fix this photo size first. I want to talk a little bit about fallen forest. If and you don't mind. Hopefully you don't. Bonk. Throw this up the corner. All right. Get that one. So, you guys remember, this is where we ended up, right? This is our base hardscape. And then this is kind of like the first really well aquascape tank that I've had. And that's mostly because my wife is way more artistic than I am. I just basically told her, here's my idea. here's all the pieces. You pick which piece we start with, and I'm just going to start tilting it in rough positions, and you tell me stop, and then I'll start putting it in the tank, get it roughly to that position, and we'll move it around until you like where it is. I was all the muscle. She was all the brains. I gave her some small advice, right? I did some little stuff, which is basically like, hey, just keep in mind that we don't want too many like spiky bits all up in the air, because we're going to put rainbow fish in there, and rainbow fish are kind of dumb and they'll ram into stuff. So don't have too many up pointy bits. But otherwise, yeah. Go hog wild. You make the decisions. So we got this initial hardscape, and then I went in and did a little extra details. So we'll hide this for a second. We'll switch to the next step. Are you actually going to keep your size correct? That would be nice. I did. So I filled in some smaller rocks and literally did nothing to what she chose, right? All I did was add the extra small rocks that would be the details you'd add later. And I did ask her a couple questions. I placed a couple and asked her, like, hey, do you want this slightly bigger detail stone that's smaller than all the big stones, this way or that way? Small stuff, right? She made some of those decisions. So basically, it's just adding some detail. So this is where we are before we do finished detail work and planting. So you guys get a little sneak peek into what the video this Saturday is going to cover. Nah, what do you think? What do you think? Not bad, eh? She's pretty good, that one. She's pretty good. Let's see here. Ooh. Anetta, I'm an uncommon person. Fantastic. I like uncommon people. Because I'm weird as can be. And yet, she still married me. Danica Aquatic's donation is to the first marriage tank. Congrats. Thank you. I think at some point, if we can make it work, you definitely have to let Danny and my wife meet, because I think they get a hoot out of each other. Also, they both play Pokemon, just in different ways. Danny's got her Pokemon Go that she does, and I know that other family do some Pokemoning. My girl is a big Pokemon nerd. She loves her some Pokemon. You best hang on to her. Oh, I will. Don't worry. Don't worry. I love that lady beyond what words can properly express. I know, I'm a big sap. Oh, man. Omar, good to see you, buddy. Johnny giving some extra details here. The small Stiphodon species should be shrimp space, so like the Aureofuscus. I actually got that right. And the Aniae? Aniae? Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? I can't help it, all right? What do you want from me? It's my like favorite song from that particular artist. But yeah. Okay. From Nathan, when you start making videos, were you nervous about being in front of the camera? If so, any tips to help a newbie out? Oh, dude, that's a great question. So, I'm inherently kind of an extrovert, and I very early in my like working career worked in radio for a while. So I'm really not afraid to talk to people. But being in front of a camera is a lot different than, say, radio, where, like, you're almost this disembodied voice in a way, right? Like, if we were to turn my camera off and I were just to talk, that would be radio. There's something there where it's just, like, a slight hint of anonymity or mystery, whatever you want to consider it. I think the biggest problem is, like, and I still do this to this day because I'm bad at this part, but it's knowing when to look, like, into the camera. Because in the case of YouTube, right, you're talking to someone. It's not like Hollywood where like never look in the camera, never break the fourth wall. It's storytelling, and you're interacting with these other characters, right? That's different. And I think the biggest thing is this, especially when it comes to the fish fam, people are just so inherently awesome. People are just wonderful and positive. So don't be scared. Just think of it like you almost have to think like you're having a conversation with your friend. For those of you that are like, more in my age, which I'm 40 now. I'm an old fart. I know somebody's going to be like, yeah, Paul's going to be like, please, kid, get out of here. But, for any of you who grew up with, like, the Ernest movies, okay? So, Ernest P. Worrell, right? His character, that's Jim Varney, is the actual actor. That character came about because of a series of commercials. And what was endearing, that there was, like, basically the first viral thing was these Ernest commercials, is that he was kind of like this lovable dope who's just having a conversation with his friend, which is you, the watcher. And that's what we need to think about, is that any of us, when we're trying to get used to this whole, like, YouTube thing, you really want to try this, just think of it as having a conversation with your friend. Like if you were to do it on FaceTime or a Zoom, or pick whatever, video conferencing software is out there. I think if you have that mentality, it's a lot easier to not be nervous. You will be nervous, and that's okay. But the big thing is just take a couple breaths, realize that if you really want to, you can put it into editing software and you can cut out all the extra breaths. And when you mispronounce a word, when you're like, I'm an idiot, I can't even speak English, this guy frequently, you can edit those things. Or sometimes you leave them in. And that's part of what people will appreciate about you as a person. Find your own, like, idiosyncrasies about who you are as a person and let that shine. Because that is part of what builds your community, is folks getting to know you, right? We would not have the robust community, which you guys are so amazing. I often refer to my community as you wonderful folks, because you are truly wonderful. It's so rare that we get some jerk in chat or in comments, and that's one of the most lovely parts about being able to do this stuff for fun, is that I get to interact with a lot of awesome people, and you guys see all like the weird dopey things about my personality, and most of you find them entertaining or at least something worth laughing at, right? I leave some of that stuff in. I don't edit everything because I want who I am as a person to shine through as much as anything, just as much as the information that's valid and teaches a lesson. Because otherwise, what's the difference between me and John at KG Tropicals or Corey at Co-op, or pick some other person with a much larger audience, right? The difference is my personality making that thing a little more unique and different. And also, I'm a psycho about rainbow fish. So yeah, that's the biggest thing. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to, like, if you flub up, just take a break, take a breath, re-say the thing again. If it's something important to what you're trying to teach or what you're trying to talk about, if you're going through and you're like, yeah, so you want to make sure that your tank is got what's the word? Oh, parameters, right? Then just take a second and be like, you want to make sure that your tank parameters, right? But don't feel like robotic. It's okay to screw up. We learn from failure. That's the best part about being human. We learn from the stuff we screw up. Hopefully. Good luck. Nathan, good luck. If you do get up the gumption to do it, get your first video made, shoot me an email. Send it to me. I'll be happy to give you constructive criticism or just watch, whatever it may be. Your choice. Okay. Christian. Question. First time with Buce. Why did it lose leaves? Everything else thrives. So, Buce can be kind of finicky, and it depends on the species of Boost, because there's a lot of them. And certain species of Boost actually aren't meant to exist at all, like submerged for a long period of time. So think of it a lot like Crypts, where Boosts, kind of like Crypts, will melt. Less like Anubias. Anubias tends to be a little more durable, and that's why we like Anubias, right? It's easy, it's durable, kind of bulletproof sometimes, but occasionally it gets pissy, right? Boost is a lot more finicky. But it will come back as long as that rhizome is healthy, and if you go and lightly feel it, it still feels stiff, it's not getting squishy on you. It will grow new leaves, so don't stress too much. Just keep it in light, and you'll be okay. And as long as it has some leaves, more will come in. But usually, what I have found is it can sometimes struggle a little bit more to convert, and it really does appreciate typically a little bit of CO2 to make that conversion process occur from where it's been grown in a farm, where it's immersed and only the roots are in water, versus being fully submerged and dealing with that. Clicks images. What is the best... Why... What? Okay, what is the best way, I think is what you mean, / ideas, how to pack fish for events and clubs? Planning on making the 10-hour drive to the Keystone Clash. I want to bring and buy fish that weekend. Okay, so a couple pieces of advice I have for you. Number one, watch Dan's Fish's video about shipping fish. There's not just philosophical things, but there are some mechanical things he does that are fantastic to learn from. Now, if you can't individually bag each fish, that's okay. Here's some of the stuff that I've done for long-term stuff that can help. Depending on the species of fish you have, there's a couple things we can do. If they can all exist in one open water system, you can do something like a bucket with USB air stones or battery-powered air stones in there to keep them oxygenated, right? And then bag them when you get to the event. Make sure you have dechlorinator with you. Make sure you have a way to temperature check the water, right? That's going to go a long way. Now, if you can't do that, you'll still need a dechlorinator because you're going to need to change water, right? You're going to want to change water and rebag your fish. So have lots of extra bags. Bring lots and lots of bags. And Daniken Aquatics can attest to this because they've done this at all sorts of things. Have lots of bags. Be ready to rebag your fish each day. Give them fresh water. Temperature your water. You can buy an easy temp gun off of Amazon for $16. That's probably the fastest way. Same little heat guns, I'm talking about, little laser done ones. I use them all the time in my fish room. I love them. Second, before you go to the event, fast your fish. Do not feed them for 2 days. Why? We're trying to reduce the amount of waste your fish are going to produce. They'll be okay not eating for a couple days. But we don't need them pooping in the bags and doing stuff like that because that's going to build up ammonia, and that's the likelihood of where they're going to die. So fast your fish. That way they're not pooping a ton in the bags. We're not getting ammonia spikes and stuff like that happening inside those bags. Fish will be okay. Bring insulated coolers. You can just buy the styrofoam ones. You can have big ice chests, whatever it may be, but bring something that can help maintain heat. And if the fish need to stay at a certain temperature, if they're not good at having their temperatures dip down, be ready to have something like a heat pack. If you're driving 10 hours and you're going to have the AC cranking because it's going to be summer and it's going to be a little hot out, have some heat packs. Have a heat pack. Just get a 48-hour one or a 24-hour one. It's fine. And tape them inside the cooler. And that's going to help keep a little bit of warmth in there and keep them to temperature. Now, don't go putting 6 of these things in a cooler. That's going to get it too hot. You probably only need one. The water's going to hold temperature along with that insulation, but just a little extra heat to help maintain that temperature in there is going to help you. Now, if you're doing aeration in something because your fish can live together. Maybe you're going to take some totes or something, or you're going to take 5-gallon buckets with lids because water's going to slosh as you move. Don't put the water too high. You might look at doing something like a small 25-watt heater if you're worried about temperature. But realistically, if temperature's your thing, bag them. Make sure that bag has lots of air and not a ton of water. You don't need a lot of water. And then put them in something that's going to help maintain temperature, like a cooler, insulated bag, something, some way to keep them warm. So, big things, the main lessons here. Ways to insulate them during the drive and while you're on the floor, because you'll want to have a few up on the table, but you can have them, the rest of your fish, sitting in the cooler so that they're not all coming down in temperature all day long, right? It's only the ones that are there, and when somebody buys one, you bring a new one out of the cooler, put it up on the table, right? For each of your fish that you want to display. You're doing them in pairs. Maybe you have 2 pairs out, and the rest are set in storage to keep them warm, right? Extra bags. You're going to need to do water changes. Don't leave them in the same bag all weekend. Whether you can just reuse that bag because of the way you tie it, or whether you need to rebag them, find a way to do water changes. Bring dechlorinator. You're going to need to dechlorinate the water. And finally, make sure that you have a way to temperature check everything. So bring your temperature gun. Those would be my big tips. Now, me personally, I don't tend to bring a lot of fish to places. So I don't do a lot of super long drives. But I've learned from a lot of people who do this stuff, and they know what they're doing. So hopefully those will help you. And I look forward to seeing you at Keystone Clash. And make sure if you are going to, if you're going to have like a vendor table or something, I would start looking at getting your vendor table soon. Because they'll probably sell out. Or at least talk to the folks running the Clash and see what all you need to do. Oh, good. Our friends the spammers have returned. Paul Salterra, even though Seattle and Southeast North Carolina share the same hardiness zone, 8A, we can't grow things here that grow well there. Where you normally have very few days above 80, here we have 80 for many months. Yeah. Oh, man. Oh, I couldn't do that. It's getting worse now. Our summer's getting a little longer, but yeah. Yeah. Stephen Liang, is that a platinum setup and how long? As in this? No, that's just a sponge in there because the pump's been having issues and I need to rip it completely apart. and really deep clean the pump that's in my Flex. We might do a plenum sometime soon. Maybe. MNC Aquatics, thoughts on ADA Amazonia? Overpriced? Is that a thought? The ADA system is fine. I've used Amazonia before. I've used Flueball Stratum before. I actually like Flueball Stratum more, mostly because it's cheaper. And it's the difference is so minimal. And a lot of people are like, oh, it doesn't have as much buffering capacity. It's so minimal. You're not doing it to a level in most aquariums that is measurable. And if you are doing it to that level, you're remineralizing everything and the buffering capacity doesn't matter. Because you're probably using RO that you've remineralized. The buffering capacity doesn't frickin' matter at that point. Or, more importantly, that buffering capacity only lasts so long, and you're changing it out so frequently that it doesn't matter. I've had ADA Amazonia in a tank now. It's been in that tank for 5 years in my care, and before that, 3 years in someone else's care. Grows crypts like crazy. That's the Goby Mansion. That substrate is the same substrate. It's been there for 8 years or more. Doing just fine. My retirement tank is a bunch of ADA Amazonia, Power Sand, and some Echo Complete. That's been going for 6 years. It's fine. I think a lot of the... How do I put this? A lot of the, oh, this is the best substrate, or aquascapers use X, Y, or Z, comes down to they've been sold a thing by a store, they're accustomed to that particular thing by a store, so they keep swearing by that one thing because that's what they can easily acquire. There's not a lot of incentive once you've gotten really used to something to trying other things. Even though the difference between Fluval stratum, UNS Contrasoil, ADA Amazonia, and even Brightwell's Rio Oscuro, even though there is some actual formulaic differences, the end result of what you can get out of them is just, the differences are so small it's almost imperceptible. Almost all of the clay and or ash-based aquasoils of that design, the small clay ball look, are about the exact same. Find the one that you can get at the best economical price by volume, not by weight, and go with that one. The difference between Amazonia 1 and Amazonia 2 is a little more obvious. The big thing being that Amazonia 2 doesn't have as rich of a level of nutrients into it naturally, so that's why they include all those little root tabs. AKA, it's closer to something like Brightwell's Rio Oscuro. But realistically, the difference on how you're going to use it long term? Nothing. If you can get Amazonian, that's what's easiest for you to get, and you don't mind paying that price tag, do it. It's great stuff. But can I say that I've seen such phenomenal difference with my Amazonia compared to my Fluval stratum that I've used in the past? I've had better success with Fluval stratum. I'll say that again. I have had better success with Fluval stratum than ADA Amazonia. But is that because when I got to those tanks, I knew more about what I was doing with those plants, and maybe it's just a matter of my personal knowledge had elevated and has nothing to do with the substrate? Absolutely. So even though I can say confidently, I've had more success with Fluval stratum, I can also say in the tanks where I've set them up with Fluval stratum was after I learned lessons in ADA Amazonia. So if I were to do the same thing with ADA Amazonia today, would I have as much or more success than I have with those Fluval stratum tanks? Absolutely. Because I'm going to show you that with Brightwell's Rio Oscuro in the new Fallen Forest tank. The difference is minimal. So find the one that you can get the best deal on. I can remember a time when Walmart, of all places, online had bags of Fluval stratum, the big bags, for $17.95 a piece. I bought every single one that was in stock. I still have bags of Fluval stratum downstairs that I bought for $18 because they were selling that product off and they weren't going to carry it anymore. Screaming deal. But have I made tanks with other substrates? Yeah. Just did a tank with a bunch of Brightwell. And it's fantastic. They're all the same. Just pick the one you like the most. Stick to it. It's just like fertilizers. If you have success with Nylock G Thrive, even though I use Easy Green, don't switch to Easy Green. Stay with Thrive. If you like the Flourish system, even though I hate it and you have success, keep using Flourish. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if you're looking at one for the first time to try, Amazonia is a lovely aquasoil. So's Fluval stratum. So's UNS Contrasoil. So's Landon. That's another decent one that you can sometimes find cheaper. But there's also stuff you can find that is dirt cheap, and if you know how to use it, functions just as well, if not better. But you have to know how to use it. So start yourself off with an aquasoil. It's kind of like cheating. Learn your lessons there, and then branch out. Hope that helps. Hope that helps. That's my My thoughts, MNC. My brain at maximum crazy. Master photographer, I have socked older than you. All right. Those are nice socks. If they have held up that long, those are nice socks. I bet I've got a baseball older than you. I've probably got a watch older than you. Ooh. I got stuff older than me for sure. Sandy Cheeks actually has a great recommendation for going back to that previous question about trying to get not nervous, which is add bloopers at the end every now and then. There's is it Michael's Fish Room that does that pretty regularly? I always think he should just be like Michael the Guppy guy, because most of what he does is guppies, even though he does a lot of other stuff. But he'll do like bloopers at the end of his videos and stuff. And sometimes it's really funny to get his flubs and all those things in there, because it just shows part of like, dude, we're not robots, you know? Oh yes, Zelfernide. Somebody knows my reference. You know what I mean, Verdon? Talking about Ernest P. Worrell. Oh god, Jim Varney. That man died before. If you haven't seen it, there's just like some behind the scenes footage of Jim Varney and Robin Williams hanging out. It's from like the 80s, maybe early 90s. Just go watch it. It's hilarious watching these two comics beside each other, just like babbling and having fun with each other. Both gone. Both gone before their time. Let's see here. Let's just go ahead and report our friend trying to advertise the photos here. Get out of here, you son of a... Bonk. There we go. Problem solved. All right. So you know I'm behind. Let's see. Matt M. Have you kept any pseudomagills? And I know we're close to time, but we'll try to answer a couple quick, fast ones. Thinking about keeping Luminatus, have never kept... Okay, so here's my thing about pseudomagills. For me, as a rainbow fish keeper, I just prefer to dedicate my space to the bigger fish. Not because I dislike pseudomagills. I actually like the Luminatus quite a lot. My favorite pseudomagill is probably, as far as the pure freshwater, is the Furcata, which is to say the forktail rainbow. I think they're a little underappreciated, and they're a beautiful little fish. But Luminatus are beautiful. That bright red color is amazing. The big thing about them is they're total topwater fish. They're even more jump. It just sounds bad, but they are more of a jumping fish than the bigger rainbows. And big rainbows will jump, so make sure you have a good lid. But other than that, they're much more short-lived than the big rainbows. You're going to be more like a tetra, where you're going to expect somewhere 2 to 3 years on average. You might get a little closer to 5, but yeah, shorter lived. YouTube flagged you, Scuba Stevo. Didn't flag one of the messages from our friend trying to advertise photos. Oh Lord. Anyway, so that's the big thing, and they like similar temperatures. They like a lot of similar other stuff, but just in general, the big thing is this: if you want to breed them, they're great in smaller tanks. Get something like a 20-gallon long. You're perfect. You're perfect. Little extra space to move back and forth. Lots of room. Great for those fish. Easy to get a lid on it. Beauty. Perfect for pseudomagills. Matt fell asleep on the job again. Oh, man. Blake. Thanks, buddy. Good to see you, my friend. I'm going to see here. I'm going to see if I can quickly zap out a couple other questions. If not, but yeah. Another Asian guy. I'm using inert sand and heavy planted CO2 75 gallon every month. I need to put in full package of co-op root tabs. Still get new leaves, nutrient efficiency at the end of the month. Yeah, so part of the problem you're dealing with, right, is that you probably have a lot of stuff that needs a lot of nutrients, and then you also have CO2. So that's going to escalate the rate at which they need nutrients, right? And especially if you have more heavy root feeders, they're going to want all where those root tabs are, and once they run out, game over. The question is, are you also fertilizing the water column with like liquid ferts? Because that's going to help you have a consistent stream of nutrition available. But yeah, it might just be after you root tab more often. Because you don't have something that's naturally pulling any of the water column for fertilization down into the roots, you might have to root tab more. Yeah. And answered shortly thereafter. Yes, I'm using EI dosing with a 50% water change. Full glosso and cuba carpet, lots of crypts. Well, I mean, yeah. Full carpets require a lot of nutrition, man. And you're giving them CO2 in order to maintain those things. So they're gonna chew it up. And especially if they don't have a substrate that's gonna pull those things down in there to help, that could be a problem. And yeah, I mean, there's lots of other things like nutrient deficiencies can be very complex. But yeah, Kelly's like already doing stuff. That's a sci-fi swordsman. Did you already pick the winner from last week's giveaway? Yeah, all the winners have been picked. I've messaged all the people. The only thing I have to do is, because at the holidays, the post office is a nightmare. I drove by every time throughout both Christmas and right after Christmas, and lines were out the door. I still have to ship these bad boys out, which will get done this weekend. I hope. Don't worry, guys. The towel and the 2 hats, they're coming your way. I promise. They'll get to you. The other stuff is much easier. It's just an email. I don't have to go and actually physically ship stuff. But man, my post office is kind of small. So when a line goes out the door, it's actually because the line it wraps completely around where all the P.O. boxes are and then comes out the door. And that's, I've been in that line once before when I absolutely had to get something out. It took me like 2 hours to get through my line because my post office only staffs like 2 people. Anyway. Let's see, I'm going to try and get one more question, and then we're going to be done for the night, I do believe, just because we're at time. If I was to start okay, I do have to say this comment from Raphael. If I was to start a substrate brand, I'd call it Dirt. Slogan, dirt cheap, dirt for rich results. Oh, dude. That is genius. The thing is, like, you got to figure out what the DIRT acronym is, right? You got to find something to make it a little more fancy. A little more fancy. I like it though. Dirt cheap, dirt for rich results. I'm in on it. I'm in on it, man. Another thing about our cinema gills from Johnny at Dan's Fish. Johnny, are you going to Keystone Clash? You better be there, man. You better be there. Just make Dan take you. If you want a jumpy Cinema Gill, Nova Guinea live most of their life above the surface. Oh no, don't do that. What is weird is I didn't even see the bot. Yeah, like a bunch of messages got auto flagged by our bot friend, but a few, well, like one got through that I had to flag myself. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Here's one from Pulsotera. I put a colony of Luminatus in a 10-gallon. They're using the whole tank. Yeah, with any rainbow fish, cinema gills included, they're very active swimmers. So the more left to right swim space you give them, the more they will use. But yeah. And then finally, just because I want to make sure I don't miss this, Bob Purcell, thank you for the congratulations. Appreciate the members super chat. You're 15 months, man. Jeez. Time flies. I mean, Master Tiger is at 26 months. Whew, time flies. Time flies. Do it right time. I don't know. I think we would mess with that, right? I think we can figure that out. We could do something. We could get fancy with it. We're gonna help the branding. Anyway, gang, thank you so much. Be on the lookout for a community tab post just in case. I gotta figure out whether or not I'm starting to feel something. Oh, my niece did not give me a cold. They've had a little nosy thing, and I hope it doesn't blare out into something because I don't want to go there and get anybody sick, get anybody worried. I missed the holiday party because of it. I hope I don't get to miss this one because there's a speaker and all that kind of good noise. First meeting of the year. Would like to see some of my friends like Master Breeder Dean, but anyway, I'll put up a post on the community tab just in case to pre-film some questions. So if you have questions you want me to answer, we'll get them in there. And yeah, Ernest Scared Stupid is a must-watch. I would agree. I'm a big fan personally of Goes to Jail. I loved Ernest Goes to Jail. As a kid, in my young preteen age, I guess. I was like, I remember watching that a lot of like at 11 and 12. I love that dumb movie. I think I still have it on VHS somewhere. Anyway, gang, thank you so much for being here. To all you wonderful folks, Geek Boy, Kelly Foreman, Danikin Aquatics, Master Photographer Bob Purcelli did super chats congratulating me and the wife. Thank you so much. I hope you look forward to the planting video for Fallen Forest that's coming out this Saturday. We'll talk about that, and then I do have something really important that I need your help in that video. So make sure you watch and give some comments. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and stay awesome.